you? It's Mara Davis from Dave FM.
Yeah, I'm good.
Nice talking. Now, I know your painting exhibit is going on at the Georgian Terrace Hotel.
Yep.
Why do you think so many musicians and rock stars gravitate towards painting and music?
Well, I think it's how you're born. In other words, there are people who are born knowing how to work machinery. It's a mind thing. In other words, I've got my ex-husband, whom I just love. He's love of my life. Still just adore him. He can come into a room and fix a television set he's never seen before. You know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then I've got an accountant who's got mathematics and all that kind of stuff just down. You don't ever want me to try and do your taxes. You don't ever want me around electrical things. But I can probably do anything in the arts, and that is why so many musicians paint, or painters play guitar, or guitar players act, or actors play guitar, because it's all in the arts.
Right.
So you can probably put us, all of us, in any of the arts, and we'll be okay. You just don't want us building any rockets.
Okay. Or any starships.
No starships, no tax forms, you know. The only people I knew who are good at money and actually never did drugs, musicians, were Gene Simmons of Kiss and Frank Zappa, who smoked, 45,000 cigarettes a day and coffee. But he didn't do any so-called fun drugs, and those guys were good at managing their finances, too.
Isn't it funny? So many people have the wrong idea about Frank Zappa. They thought he was on acid and doing all this crazy stuff, and he never did anything.
He'd make fun of us. We had these posters with Mucha, who was an artist, Polish, I think. Mucha drew these wonderful, swirling, feminine things like spring, summer, winter, fall, women with swirling hair and so forth. And we had all these posters that looked like Mucha drawings. And so Frank Zappa did a poster with all the Mucha swirls, but it was a picture of him sitting on a toilet. So, he would make fun of us because he thought anybody who didn't know how to write music for an orchestra, which he knew how to do, most of us did it by ear.
Right.
And he just thought we were lame.
Yeah.
And I just loved him. He was really funny.
I'm so glad you brought him up, and we're on with Grace Slick. How do you think Frank Zappa would have changed music and maybe the internet world, or what do you think he would have been like had he lived?
Well, I think he would have been all over the some form of internet music kind of thing, whatever that might be. But he had trouble being popular because you've got to be really stupid and blonde to be popular. Okay. You got a lot of people who are going to like Britney Spears and very few people who are going to understand Frank Zappa.
Sure.
So no matter what he did, he's too bright to make pop music that really resonates with people.
Sure.
Now, not all pop music singers are stupid. I'm just saying that there's a large amount of stupid going on, and he refused to get into it. He could have written, pop songs.
Do you keep up with pop music at all? I had read somewhere that you were a fan of Beyonce's.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's a stunning entertainer. I mean, dancing and the attitude and she's got a beautiful voice, beautiful body. She's made to do what she's doing. Her husband, I don't care one way or the other about, but she's just amazing.
We're on with Grace Slick. The #1 movie at the box office, Alice in Wonderland. Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah, and loved it because I love to watch people interpret that story because it is wide open for you to play around with. And Burton certainly did. And I loved his characters. I liked Johnny Depp is a really good actor, and he was good as the Mad Hatter. Alice, whatever. But for the most part, I liked it.
Okay, and your exhibit going on at the Georgian Terrace Hotel, we're on with Grace Slick. What are some memories that you have of Atlanta with Jefferson Airplane? It was such a wild time. There were so many people in Atlanta. Do you have anything that sticks out? Because the Georgian Terrace is this amazing historical hotel.
Yeah, Problem when, because I'm so old and, this is a long time ago, with the South was rigidity. In other words, we played, I think it was Louisiana in 66 or something, and when we came back, they were all dressed in prom outfits with little flowers, and the guys were in suits, and we came back a couple years later to play, and it was completely changed. They looked like we did. And even Jimi Hendrix did it. He was for the war for a while, and then within about 6 months, he flipped over to the other side.
And you are completely sober now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And have been for quite some time. My daughter and I got sober about 13 years ago, something.
In the 80s, so you were completely sober when you picked some of those amazing outfits in some of your great Starship videos.
Well, yeah. It doesn't look like I was sober, does it? The 80s, even bright people, I look back and look at the outfits we wore. The 80s were just god-awful as far as fashion goes. The 60s, I didn't mind. We didn't really, all of us, wear tie-dye T-shirts. I've never owned a tie-dye T-shirt. Well, what we did was we wore anything we felt like wearing.
But everything you wore was just, very flowy and beautiful.
Well, in the 60s?
In the 60s and 70s.
Well, yeah. And then the 80s, you got the football shoulders and the frizzed out hair and these god-awful prints all over everything. It was just hideous.
Thankfully, you have your art career to fall back on and not your fashion sense from the 80s.
Yeah, my fashion sense now is sweatshirt and sweatpants.
Well, you know what? Your work is fantastic. People can see it now at the Georgian Terrace Hotel. Grace Slick, it's so cool talking to you.
Well, thank you.
You are a legend, and we love everything about you. And everybody can go see your work this weekend at the Georgian Terrace.
All right. Well, thanks for the plug, too.